Today we are going to be starting 1.1, describing patterns. I want you to look at this right here. You can see that there are 6 round circles. What colors do you see there? Read them to me.
Orange, green, orange,
Okay, so there's a pattern here. Orange, orange, green, orange, orange, green. What do you think the next 3 circles are going to be? Orange, orange, green, okay? So you guys have seen right here very clearly how it is that we can write a pattern. If we had 3 more, it would be orange, orange, and then green. So today in our lesson, we're going to be seeing how we can find and describe patterns within numbers. I want you to look at this first one. Go ahead and write this slide down for me. So for the patterns that we're going to be finding in our numbers, we're going to be using these different operation words. The first one is add. What's the next one? Subtract. Then what? Multiply and divide. Okay, so let's say that we have a group of numbers that are getting bigger. If those numbers are getting bigger, could I be adding something to it? Yes or no? Yes. If the numbers are getting bigger, do you think I would be subtracting something? No. What would happen to the numbers if I subtracted them? Smaller. Let's think about multiplying. Do numbers get bigger if you multiply or smaller? Bigger. They get bigger. And last one, whenever we're dividing, do they get bigger or smaller? They're going to get smaller. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be looking for patterns in numbers. So let's go ahead and write this down. Number 1 is asking us to describe the pattern. When we're describing the pattern, we're going to use one of those operation words. Add, subtract. What were the other 2? Multiply and divide, okay? So here I have a specific kind of pattern. It says 2, 7, 12, 17. Can anyone tell me, are my numbers getting bigger or smaller? They're all getting bigger. Therefore, I either have to be adding something or multiplying something. Can anyone tell me what you think the pattern might be in this number scheme? Stephen, what do you think?
They're adding 5.
Okay, so here's what you're going to write. You're going to use and choose the first operation word, which he told us is add, and then by 5. Now here's what you want to try to do. He says we're adding by 5. So let's just check this out to see if in fact we really are adding by 5. What is 2 plus 5?
7.
Okay, what is 7 plus 5? What is 12 plus 5? Okay, so does it look like we have a pattern? Yes, each of them we are adding by 5. Now let's look right here. It gives us another set of instructions. It says, then write the next 3 numbers. Is there anyone who thinks they might know what number comes after 17? Hannah, what do you think? She says 22. I would agree with that. What's next, Hannah? 27. And class, what's the last one? 32. That was quick. Good job. Okay. So we've been given 2 sets of instructions. Describe the pattern, then write the next 3 numbers. So I want to help explain a little something on your homework tonight. Your homework is going to look exactly like this. It's going to have the exact instructions just like this. It will say describe the pattern, then write the next 3 numbers. So you are going to write out the original problem. Every time you have to write the original problem. So you would write this right here, the original problem. Then you would show your work. The work that you've shown there is add by 5, and then you gave me the answer 22, 27, and 32. There are 2 parts to this answer. So what we have to do every time on our homework is box in the answer. And this is what our answer is. So tonight's homework, I'm going to be looking for the same exact thing that's going to be in your notes today. So go ahead and box your notes for me, please. So for number 2, we're going to have the same exact instructions. We're going to describe the pattern here, and then we're going to write the next 3 numbers. So here in this pattern, it says 28, 24, 20, and then 16. Are my numbers getting bigger or smaller? They're getting smaller. So could my operation be to add a number? No, because if I was adding them, it would be getting bigger. Could it be to subtract a number? It could. Could it be to multiply?
No.
It could not, because multiplying would get bigger. Could it be to divide? It could, because dividing things makes it smaller. So we now know we are either subtracting or we are dividing. Does anyone want to take a guess of what you think the pattern might be? Darcy, what do you think? Okay, she says subtracting. So we're going to use one of those words that we wrote down, which she said subtract. Darcy, do you know how many you're subtracting each time?
4.
She says subtract by 4. Now, You might check this out and try to plug it in just to see, does that make sense and is it correct? So she says subtract by 4. When I do this just to myself, 28 minus 4, what is the answer? 24. What is 24 minus 4? 20. What is 20 minus 4? 16. So if you look right here, subtract by 4, subtract by 4, subtract by 4, now you easily know our pattern was to subtract by 4. But here's the next part I've got to do. It's 2 parts. I'm not done. I have to describe what the next 3 numbers would be. Mickey, do you know what they would be? Okay, he says 12. What's after that? 8. And the last one? 4. Excellent job. Now, am I finished with my problem?
No.
What do I have to do? Box the answer in. You will always box in that final answer. Remember this for your homework tonight. All right, so you've worked with your partner a little bit. My numbers here are getting bigger. So describe the pattern to me that you and your partner came up with, guys. What'd you do? Okay, multiply by 3. Now, if you remember, what I want you to do is just make sure that your numbers make sense. So here I've got 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18, times 3 is 54. So once again, I can clearly see times 3, times 3, times 3. It happened 3 different times, therefore it's definitely a pattern. So you did figure out what your pattern was. Now, after I've multiplied by 3, what was my next 3 numbers here? What do you think?
162 and then 486 and then 1458.
Raise your hand if you got the same thing as this partner group right here. Okay, excellent work. Now what do I do, guys? Box your answer in. Remember, do this on your homework. Always box in your answer. So my numbers say 256, 128, 64, and then 32. Are my numbers getting bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Smaller. So I know I'm subtracting or dividing. What did you guys do? Divide by what?
2.
Okay, so just remember you've got a word that has to do with one of our operations, just like this, and then divide by, you give me a number and you said 2. So according to that, just the girls, what do you think the next 3 numbers are?
16, 8, 4.
16, 8, and 4. Boys, if you got that, give me a whoop whoop. All right, what do I have to do to my answer, guys? Let's go ahead and box that answer in. All right, so here we have number 5. Write the first 4 numbers in a pattern. Start with the number 6 and then repeatedly add 8 more. Okay, so what number do I write first, guys?
6.
I'm going to put a 6. Now I've got to add 8 to it. What do you get?
14.
14. Add 8 more. What do you get? 22. Add 8 more. What do you get? 30. All right. Is that my final answer?
No.
What should I do to it? Box it. Okay, it is my final answer, so because of that, you want to box it in. How many of you were able to figure out those 4 numbers all on their own? All right, a few of you got it, so very good job. So this is something that you guys should be very familiar with doing. I know that it was taught throughout elementary school, but there will be a couple of these review kind of problems on your tonight's homework, so I wanted just to make sure you guys totally understood how to do it, okay? So number 6 says, round the number to the place value of the red digit. So let's look at problem A. What number are we talking about that's red? The 6, okay? So what place is this in? The ones, tens, or the hundreds? That's the ones place. What place is this one in? That's in the tens place, okay? So this guy right here, he's the red one. He asks his neighbor that's smaller than him, are you 5 or bigger? What does he ask him? Are you 5 or bigger? What does that 5 say?
Yes.
It says yes. Because he says yes, does the 6 stay as a 6 or does it get bumped up to a 7? Bump up to a 7, and what happens to the last digit? It becomes a 0. So 65 rounded to the tens place is 70. So box that answer in. Let's go to the next one, problem B. I'm going to go ahead and underline my red number. What place is that red number in? The tens place, okay? So he's going to ask his neighbor that's smaller than him. What does he ask? Are you 5 or bigger? What does that 2 say?
No.
No. So does this 42 stay as a 42 or get bigger?
Yes, stays the same.
It stays the same, and what happens to the last number? Turns into a 0. So 422 rounded to the nearest tens is 420. Let's look at problem C, 158. What place is my 1 in? The hundreds place. So I'm rounding to the nearest hundred. What do I do? The 1 asks the 5, are you 5 or bigger? What's the 5 say? Yes, so what happens to that 1? It becomes a 2, and the other 2 turn into 0. So 158 rounded to the nearest 100 is 200. All right, hopefully you had time to do the last one. What place is this red number in? The thousands. The thousands asks his neighbor next to him what? Are you 5 or bigger? And he says, so what happens to the 9?
It stays the same.
It stays the same, and what happens to the last 3 digits?
9,000.
So 9,156 rounded to the nearest 1,000 is 9,000. All right, so tonight's homework is 1.1, pages 7 and 8, numbers 8 through 18 even. Please note, you do not have to do the odd ones. So when you come to number 9, 11, 13, 15, or 17, you do not have to do them, okay? And then you'll do 28, 38, 40, and 46. Just like always, you'll just have 10 problems, okay? If you have less than 10 problems, I'll be sure to let you know, but you will only have 10 problems for tonight's homework. There's going to be specific things I am looking for. You have to write the original problem every single time, okay? You must show your work, and what's the last thing you got to do? You have to box in that answer. I'm going to try to help you with doing problem number 8. Okay, so with starting right here, we've got problem number 8. Remember, always label your number to the left of number 8. Let's read the instructions of what number 8 tells us to do. Go ahead. Have we seen those instructions somewhere before?
Yeah.
Where do we see those at?
No.
In the notes today, okay? You do not have to write the instructions out. All you're going to have to do is write the original problem. The original problem is problem number 8. So what numbers come after number 8 in your book?
1, 2, 4, 8.
That is all you have to do for the original problem. 1, 2, 4, and 8. It has asked us to describe the pattern. If you remember in our notes, there was an A and a B. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that A and B for us right now. A, describe the pattern. Are my numbers getting bigger or smaller?
Bigger.
They're bigger, so I'm either adding or multiplying. Raise your hand if you think I'm adding. Okay, who thinks I'm multiplying? All right, I've got some who think adding and some who think multiplying. If we are adding, what do I have to add to get from a 1 to a 2? I have to add 1 plus 1, okay? So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is what? 3. Is that the number that's there? No. So we know plus 1 could not be the correct pattern. Although it did work for the first 2 numbers, it is not the correct pattern. So someone else said multiply. If I am multiplying, what numbers do you think I need to multiply by?
2.
Okay, multiply by 2. Let's just check this out. What's 1 times 2?
2.
What's 2 times 4?
8.
Oh, sorry, 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 2 is?
8.
So does times 2 work out?
Yeah.
It does. So remember our operation word. What was it? Multiply by what?
By 2.
Okay, so remember your homework is going to be done exactly like we did our notes today in class. And then the next part asks me to come up with the next 3 numbers. So each one I'm multiplying by 2, and multiplying by 2, and multiplying by 2. So what's the next number, guys?
16.
16. Next? 32. And last one? 64. So if you remember our special instructions for homework, always write the original problem, which you guys did. You wrote the original problem right there. Next thing, you show your work, which you guys did. And the final thing, what do you have to do? Box your answer. So go ahead and box your answer in just with your pencil. And now you're going to go to the next number. Do I need to do problem number 9? No, why not?
Because it's not even.
Because it's not an even number. You are only doing 8 through 18 even. So what's the next number I have to do? 10. While setting up my homework, do I do it on the next line or skip a line? All right, so go ahead and skip a line. I want you to write the original problem. And this will be your homework for tonight. I want you guys in class to work on this last one, then we'll pack up. But if you did not understand the lesson today, go back today, watch the YouTube video, and hopefully it will help you, all right? You guys did a great job listening today.